Welcome back to Fancastic. We are here with a whole new episode. I'm here with Christine Triantos, your CAS expert. And today we're talking about protecting your CAS team. Christine, what does that mean?
It means a lot, right? And so let's dive into that. But I think, a lot of this is just, again, we've talked a lot about how the psychology is different between audit and tax and building a CAS practice, right? And so when we talk about protecting our team, it's because the relationship, the point of contact, the communication is so constant, right? It's daily, it's weekly, it's monthly, rather than just kind of like those projects or semi-annually, annually, quarterly. So it's just so important to protect clients.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. So we talked about this so many times that CAS is not tax or audit. And so the client touch points are far more frequent. I mean, you're interacting with clients far more. And so like one bad client, one difficult client can really just hit the team hard. And I think that's what we want to get into as well. So, how can you protect your people while still setting real boundaries and ensuring that you have leadership support without sacrificing client experience? So let's jump into question one. And it's pretty straightforward. It's why do boundaries matter more in CAS? We know that tax and audit are different than CASP. So why do boundaries matter more?
They matter more because it is constant contact, right? The relationship is every day, every week, every month. And so it's just having those right behaviors and attributes. But that's why it's just so important for CAS teams. And because you have such direct contact with the clients, one bad client can make an entire team unhappy.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. And I've had that experience before. I think we all have as business owners. Like it really does take one client that really wears you down. And so it's even more important for leaders to understand that in order to be able to protect their cast teams. Because honestly, sometimes too, a client may not be worth the level of difficulty. If they're causing a lot of problems too, they might be like running up the hours. So I think it gets back to what we talked about before too. Is it a profitable client if they're difficult? I mean, just something to think about.
Well, and this really does put firms to the test when firms say people first, right? It's like, okay, are we really going to be people centric and people first? Or, is this client going to dictate? And, sometimes we try different things when we've had difficult clients too. It's let's change the team. Maybe they just didn't connect and mesh well. But then when you change the team and then you're still having the same issues, clearly it can be a client issue.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, which takes us into setting expectations. That's really the next big question is, where should those boundaries live? Do we put it in the engagement letter or the statement of work? Like, how do you set those expectations up front so your team doesn't get railroaded?
Yeah. Well, and it's funny. Yes, this should be communicated to the client directly, right? So if that's you're going through the engagement letter and you're saying here are the behaviors and the attributes that we, have on both sides and it's mutual respect and there's no tolerance for hostile language or cussing at our team or, creating fires every day because you have those clients that are just known for creating fires versus the ones that are, you know, manageable and friendly and kind. So it's, the boundaries need to be communicated directly to the clients. And then the staff understand what that looks like and what parameters are set for the boundaries with the clients as well.
Yeah. Can you give an example of how you would word that so it doesn't sound combative? Because that can be difficult to set up front, those expectations.
Yeah, it is it really is designed for its a mutual respect and behavior. So it's not like, hey, client, we won't accept this from you, or it really is written from a mutual perspective. Um, and you can really tell. And this is funny. It's not funny, but it's like when you talk to a prospect on the phone and they come off already aggressive. You're like, whoa, I would always just know which clients I would have to be involved with at a later time, knowing that they were going to cause my team some, strife and turmoil.
I mean, have you ever had one of those meetings and decided that it just wasn't a good fit up front? I mean, is that's a possibility as well, right? Just like stop it before it becomes a problem.
It's so I love that question, Christy, because it has happened. And you think, am I really just going to turn this prospect away just because, their behavior attributes don't seem that like they're going to mesh with my team? And it happened. And it was just so, it just felt very combative. And we got all the way down, had multiple conversations, and the more conversations I had with him, the worse it got. And so I just retracted. I just said, I'm so sorry. I really just don't think that this is a personality fit. And we are going to retract our proposal.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think firms need to hear that because we are in a relationship based profession. And I think a lot of firms are probably wary of doing that up front, but it can save you so many headaches down the road. And it does help protect your team because without your CAS team, you don't have a CAS service, period. Without your people, the people are who make it happen.
Exactly. And if,
Yeah.
you don't want to ruin it over one or two clients, right? I had a manager, like my main Michelle at that time. She came to me and she just said, I think I'm going to quit because I can't work with this client. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, that's not what we're going to do. Obviously, we'll fire the client before I would ever consider like you walking away for that reason.
Right, right. I think it's a really great example. It's just a real world example that shows that we do need to stand up for our team to build strong cast cultures. People have to be happy at work, right? Because happy staff mean happier clients because they're going to get served better. So I appreciate that example. I do. Let's talk about communication rhythm because we've already said CAS is very different. There are far more touch points during the year. So, what's the communication rhythm that will prevent fire drills? So, like, what's a good cadence to reduce emergencies?
Yeah. So for our clients, we always had a weekly meeting, whether it was 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or an hour, whatever was needed. But it was always that touch point, right? And so it was great because the entire team was always on those client meetings. So it wasn't like just the managers were on or just the staff was on. So the entire engagement team was always on those weekly calls, and that's in the weeds. That's, we're getting into the weeds of that. Then we have the monthly meetings, which is not in the weeds, and that's the high level advisory, that's the strategic planning, that's the, I want to show your financials in one page, I want to give you scenarios in one page. But again, this is with the team and with the staff, and so it feels like it's, coming as a team, it feels protected. And so working with the client on a regular basis, it really is also teaching the client and teaching the team that mutual respect and having those conversations because it's often.
Yeah. I was going to ask, like, why having a certain rhythm works, but it sounds like the answer is predictability. I mean, if it's built in, you know when you're going to talk, you know when you're going to have a chance to download. Is that true?
Yeah, and that protects the team, during the week as well, right? Because then the client knows, oh, it's Monday, I'm going to talk to you on Wednesday. They'll send, an email and say, just hold this. I know we're meeting on Wednesday, right? And so then it doesn't become a fire drill. And it's not that where CAS practices struggle is that pick up, put down. And every time you get an email, the team feels like they have to respond right away. So then they just put something else down to pick that up to respond to that. And so it really does protect the team's time and just focus too.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I think the inevitable we have to talk about is offboarding criteria, right? So, how do you know when it's time to offboard a client?
Yeah. So when it's just like a hat trick, right? Where they have like low margins, they're fires all the time, they have repeated abuse, disrespect, they've worked with multiple team members. It's just like, this just isn't working and it's not worth it. Like we said at the beginning, it's 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 just not fair to the team, right? It's not fair for them to come in and feel like they're going to almost live in any type of hostile environment with any client that doesn't feel respectful.
Right. I mean, those seem common sense to me. I mean, if it's a low margin, if they're being disrespectful, but those are things that the cast team members have to be comfortable telling leadership, which is why those regular meetings are so important. And it's something that leaders have to be willing to take action on.
Right. And if it's a high margin client, it's, and we've done this multiple times, it's having the conversation with the client to just be honest and say, listen, this is not working. And these are the aspects that are not working. And then see if they can correct that behavior. A lot of times that has worked. And that's great. But there are going to be those few circumstances where you might be facing terminating a profitable client.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the goal would be obviously to make that up with ideal clients, right? That's why it's so important to keep those other channels open, like having your tax department bringing in 2 to 3 clients a month and having other people within the firm. Again, so you're not siloed. Everyone's working to build the CAS practice because you are going to
Exactly.
lose. You are going to lose big clients once in a while.
Exactly. And, we did this exercise where we brought the entire CAS team together and just said, what are attributes, behaviors of our favorite clients? And then that quickly created what the attributes and behaviors were for the bad clients and what
Correct.
we will not accept, right? Like that these were just our boundaries. This is what we're going to accept and not accept. And they felt like they were a part of it. They felt like they were being protected even just out of the conversation and that they knew that they did come first.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a really great point to bring up. Having an ICP, that ideal client profile, has put something in writing and it gives you something to compare to so you know exactly when a client's not meeting that profile.
Right. And
Yeah.
and and to your point with the ICP, it's, a lot of firms that we work with, they're defining it in so many ways, but it doesn't get down to that, to the behaviors, right? And so you also need to consider that in your ICP.
Absolutely. Like 100%. Like why would you leave that out? That just seems common sense to me. So that's really great advice. So leadership is obviously a big part of this. They have to support their cast teams. And so winning the support from leadership is really the next big area I want to cover. Um, so let's talk politics, right? Because there's a bit of politics in every firm. How do you fight for your team with firm leadership? It has to be a united front.
It does have to be united front. And I think where this is hard, and this is really hard for CAS managers, CAS leaders, because sometimes it just contradicts what the firm's goals are, right? And so it's though bringing real data, not drama, right? Just actionable items. And as an example, like every firm right now is wanting to become more efficient, right? We've talked about this. Be efficient by implementing technology, be efficient by pushing work down, be efficient by pushing work offshore. But if they don't have that pipeline of new clients to take on for all the work that they just pushed down, we're not incentivizing them again to do that, right? And if we force them to push the work, are we protecting them without having work for them to replace what they just offshored or created some efficiencies with? And so a lot of that is protecting, and those are conversations that I would have with my leadership team and my partners to just say, listen, this is just a little bit different. All of the tech that we use and the ongoing daily work that the CAS model is, it's a different model. And so how are we going to still ask them to meet these goals, but also not penalize them? And so those are conversations though that you really do have to have with leadership. And it's
Yeah.
it's not easy, but it's necessary.
Yeah. So what are some of the concrete asks that need to happen?
It there's multiple avenues of protecting your team from that aspect. So with what we just talked about, one of the concrete asks though is just to say if we do require our team to push this work, can we give them some leeway and can we give them some time frame to then go find more work, have us find more work, create that pipeline, right? It's the you can't have your cake and eat it too. There does become this timing difference and variance that just needs to be understood because It just doesn't work instantly, right? Um, so, and with protecting your team with in other aspects, it's really sticking to that ICP, right? And having the firm know what that is for your team too. Creating those, the recognition and career ladders for those teams and for the CAS teams. It's just so important.
So, one of the themes in this discussion really has been boundaries, like setting boundaries, protecting your cast team, having an ICP, making sure you don't get in over your head with difficult clients. But boundaries aren't barriers. That's what I want to make really clear. They're really how CAS sustains excellence. Do you have any thoughts on that?
It really is protecting your people, setting the cadence, having a set policy on when the client comes and asks for things that are out of scope. The client that creates fires all of the time, bringing leadership into, a data backed plan, having answers and solutions um, to any concerns that they have on a daily, regular basis that creates fear. We don't want to ever create any fear within our team, right? If I push this, will I still have a job? If I do this, will I still have work? So it's clients stay happy, having respectful clients, margins stay healthy, and your team stays happy and loyal.
All makes sense. All makes complete and total sense. And it all comes together really, really nice. So we always give listeners something to walk away with. Let's talk about giving them a 7-day action plan. So let's wrap it up with like a 1 week plan. Like what is that 7-step action plan that firms should go through?
First, asking yourself, asking your team, do you have a zero tolerance and rush clauses that's built into your engagement letters or your SOWs? Like, does that even exist? Is it there? If it's not, that's an easy add. Launch the weekly 15-minute meetings if that's not already on your calendar and that's not what you do with your clients already. And then the monthly owner strategic high level meetings, those are just great, and this is getting you in front of the clients, right? And this is also where CAS lives in the advisory perspective, so that's really important too. Turn on, the change orders, the out of scope triggers. What does that look like? Does the team know what's in the statement of work and what's out of scope so that they're confident and comfortable with having those conversations with the clients? Um, Building a leadership one pager, I think that that's really important too. As you go and you take any issues or anything that you want to advocate for your team to leadership, making sure that that's well documented and well thought out, and written as just a one pager process. Um, Piloting price floors, tier caps, just on your proposals. What's your bottom? What's your top? What does that look like? Recognizing, this is too just so simple, just recognizing the staff and the teammates who enforce a boundary because they can often feel like they might be penalized for that, and celebrating that win for them.
Makes complete sense to me, Christine. Easy 7-day action plan. We're challenging firms to look at this, put it in effect over a 1 week course. It shouldn't take longer than that. And these are listed for you down in the show notes. So those are your action items to walk away with today. Anything else you want to say to wrap this up, Christine?
People first, protect your team, right? That's all, like, that's how you build your CAS practice, your margins. That's how you build everything. So people first.
And I don't think any firm owner would disagree with that. I truly believe in my heart of hearts that every single firm is people first. It's just a matter of putting that into effect where your cast team is considered. So come back next week for another action-packed episode with all the good cast expertise from Christine Triantos. That is our promise to you, and this is fantastic.